I've partnered with Matrix to bring you this perfect for fall transformation. Let's get into the look. My client came in really faded from her previous color but was ready to kick it up a notch. She's growing her hair out from a bob and it was the perfect time to give her a fun new reshape that's going to go great with this color. We went for a long shag that has some really sweeping curtain bangs and added some layering throughout. Let's get into the color. Touching up her roots with Matrix SoColor 9CG and 6RV, I used about 1.5 ounces of 9CG and 1/2 ounce of 6RV. I really want this to be a kind of mauve-y, pinky type of base color because, again, we're going for a really unique and fun color. She's a fine natural level 3 that lifts really well, so I did this with 20 volume. I'm going in and just applying everything to the roots. Using this formula, I'm going to change her base color tone without having to go and do a whole corrective situation, so just bear with me. After I apply her roots, I'm going right into doing her highlights, so no need to do a separate step. I'm using Matrix Light Master pre-bonded with 20 volume and doing a balayage partial highlight. I'm starting with diagonal backs at her front hairline and I am making sure that the entire section is a diagonal so she's going to have the most lightness around her face and really accentuating all of the layers in the curtain bang that we just put in. So I'm skipping a section and then I'm going into my next subsection in which I'm doing the same thing, painting those diagonal back sections with the high point at the top. Now you can see that she has those shorter layers in the front, so I'm going to isolate the short pieces that fall out of the balayage and then go back in and take some of those longer layers and connect to the same diagonal that I started at the top of the section. I'm using my balayage paddle for tension and to get complete saturation through the end, and then I'm leaving a 1-inch diagonal subsection completely unpainted and then going into the subsection above that. So again, I'm taking those little fringe shorter areas, I'm painting my first diagonal there and picking up the longer layer and matching my diagonal. Now that I'm moving more towards the top of the head, I can actually take that longer layer diagonal up a little bit higher so I have a little bit more brightness towards the top. This is really going to make her haircut pop as I'm following the layers as my guide as to where I'm painting my highlights. I continue this pattern all the way through the top of the head and I'm using that balayage board to get full saturation on the ends. This is not a surface paint. I want to make sure I'm painting all the way through and blending really lightly so that there's a really good gradient. This is going to give us a really sun-kissed shimmer to the end instead of like a stripey type of highlight. In that last section, we only have a small section, so I'm just adding one highlight, and this is what the finished placement looks like. I did the exact same thing on the other side, and I allowed everything to process together in a plastic cap. After shampooing, this is our raw lift. We're going to go in with some fun creative color. We are using SoColor Cult in clear, Flamenco Fuchsia, and Lucky Duck Yellow. So let's get into this mix. I'm using majority clear as the base because I really want to create a pastel. I'm using only a couple of drops of the Flamenco Fuchsia and a little bit of the Lucky Duck Yellow. As you can see, we're getting this beautiful rose type of pastel color because I just want to kiss this with a nice sheer overlay that is going to be light enough that the warmth from the lift can show through. So yes, it is strategic. You can see that her hair definitely still has a lot of yellow in it. And to me, this is how you create the perfect rose gold, by making sure that you leave gold in the hair and then overlaying it with a very sheer type of rose color. This way you get the best of both worlds. I feel like a lot of times we may overlift and get too light and then our rose gold looks too pink, or try to overcompensate by adding way too much orange. I have found the best way is to get your gold from your lift and your rose from your deposit. So here I am just depositing to all of the highlighted areas first. I am going to pull this color all over everything. So as you can see, her roots are a little bit more on the pinky side, and that's because of the drop of RV that we used in her root color. So by pulling the sheer overlay over the faded red that she has, it's going to give just enough pink to that finish to just make everything shine in together cohesively. I let that process for about a good 20 minutes, and here's what it looks like after rinsing. I'm using Mega Sleek 96-hour top coat because even though we are just entering into fall, here in the Northeast Coast, we definitely still have some warm summer weather lingering by, and we need this beautiful silk press to last through. I'm using my L'Oreal Airlight Pro Blow Dryer to just smooth her hair out with a paddle brush because we're going to go in with the flat iron. The 96-hour top coat already got her hair so shiny and such a good blowout before we go into styling. Now, we said we did a nice little shaggy haircut. We're doing a center part, but I want to add a lot of body and movement to really play up the cut and the color. So when we're doing a transformation, I feel like you have to think about the whole look, how the cut, the color, and the styling all plays together, and you're going to see that in this end finish. As we move towards the top, you can start to see some of that beautiful peachy rose color that we put in. And we didn't do a ton of highlights, but when I tell you that this is so high impact with just that placement. And let's look at the comb out, my absolute favorite part. Look at how beautiful this is. I am obsessed with how well the cut and color works so good together and is so good on her skin. We've done all the coppers under the sun, and I'm so glad she's allowing me to play with pinks on her. And just look at this finish. For a diehard redhead girly, this still feels true to herself, but definitely adds some fun, adds some flair, and some fall. If you want to see more pro hair color tutorials like this, make sure you like this video and subscribe to Me Hair Color Killer and Matrix.